What's up, my good people of the internet? Dan Tortora here, hanging out with you. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful day. If you're not, we're going to make it better, and if you are, we're going to keep it going. So I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are, of course, here with you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I'm hanging out with Murph here on the broadcast as we always do on Mondays. So DT and Murphy bringing you into your week, starting off your week for you. This is the first full week of November. So this is, as we're a few days into November, this is November's first full week of the year. So welcome into November. In just a few weeks, we will have Thanksgiving. Then it's Christmas. Some people call this the bullet train, right? You start off the holidays, you get to Halloween, then it's Thanksgiving, then it's Christmas, then it's New Year's. But, I'm looking forward to enjoying these slowly. I like time to take its time, so to speak. So we're going to have some fun here in the great month of November. A lot of conversations to be had, a lot of wonderful people doing great things in the community. A big-time shout-out to Bryan and Stratton College's Syracuse for the men's and women's basketball programs starting off the season, bringing those victories home. So a big-time shout-out to them, as well as the Bryan and Stratton College's Syracuse men's soccer team, who played the number one ranked team in the country. And Bryan and Stratton Syracuse is the number 2 ranked team in the country, and they played the number 1 team to a 0-0 end of the regular season as they get ready for the postseason. So some good stuff going on there. Bryan and Stratton, Lemoyne College, swimming and diving, had themselves a very successful weekend. The women's basketball team is officially kicking off their Division I season, first ever Division I season today in the great state of Colorado. So excited to bring that to you as we'll have some specials with the head coach, Mary Grimes, and Caitlin Walker, a student athlete on the team that I've known for many years as she comes from Central New York and spent time with her when she was at West Genesee. So a lot of great stuff coming up this week. A lot of stuff we've already shared with you. Big time shout out to Lemoyne Division I men's soccer, who made the postseason in their first Division I season. Big time congrats for all the work that they put forward with their interim head coach, Callum Donnelly, the entire staff, and all student athletes. So with that being said, we're about to jump into DT and Murphy with my guy Brendan Murphy. We'll be looking at the Major League Baseball season, reflecting on it, as him and I didn't have an opportunity to talk with you last week when I was down at the World Series. So Murph and I will talk about Major League Baseball. Then we'll jump into the NFL at the midpoint. So the end of one season, the midpoint of another. A lot of conversations to be had in both of those worlds, and we'll talk about that. Murph comes to us live from Vegas this morning, so that is making some history for the first time ever. And at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we will go live with the head coach of the Alfred University Saxons football program, Bob Rankl, will be joining the show. So a lot of great stuff coming up here where sports meets that thing called life. Let's bring the man in from Vegas, the place where everybody follows the rules. Nobody's out there gambling. It's quiet. Everyone's hanging out. No, down in Vegas, there's a different set of rules, and Murph is down in a place that makes sense. This man likes to gamble. He likes to bet. He likes to talk about lines. So, Murph went home this week. And how's Vegas treating you, Murph?
Vegas has been good so far. But like I said, we're in the Sin City. It is very early in the morning. It is 6:14 in the morning
Yeah.
in Vegas. So it is very early in the morning. What is going on with my camera?
It's
Can everybody
following.
see what is happening?
It's
I don't know.
following you.
My iPad's not moving.
The camera's
I don't
following you.
know. I maybe I'm gonna see. I might have to take a look and see if I can fix that later. But might get a little busy at times today, guys. Yeah, it's been good. We went to the Raiders Giants game last night yesterday at Allegiant Stadium. Gorgeous stadium. That's all I'm gonna say. Game was awful. I have never been in a football game which made me want to go to sleep. That
Yeah.
game was literally putting me to sleep. It was so bad that at the end of the first half, before halftime, I just went and took a lap around the stadium just to wake up.
Yeah.
Now, granted, very long travel day for me.
Yeah.
I left the house in Jersey. I left our Jersey house at 2:15 in the morning. I've been up about 1:15 a.m. and I did at one point make it. I was sitting at the poker table last night at around 10:15, 10:30,
Yeah.
which put me over the 24 straight hour mark. So that was eventful. But I got some good amount of sleep last night, and then even though it's still early, I'm probably going to take a little cat nap at some point during the day and catch up on some Z's before getting back at the tables.
So the important question is, are you up or are you down right now? You're up. Good. Good.
Actually, well, if you count the price of my tickets from yesterday, I'm dead even.
Okay.
The tickets were $275
To go see that.
for the yes. So I'm glad I won money last night to be able to pay for that. Oh, and also for the record, if you see anyone walking behind me, I am in kind of a public area. This is like the second floor of my hotel, so I'm staying at Resorts World. And over my shoulder, this way, actually, you can't really see it. So it is following me.
Yeah, it follows
Oh, that's what it is.
you. Yeah, it follows you.
Okay, that makes sense now. Okay, so over my shoulder there is the Poker Stars studio. So my buddy is out here for a tournament series, North American Poker Tour tournament series, and he played in the Deep Stack $1,100 event yesterday. Got bad beat and busted out at around 8 o'clock last night. So he and I went and played. Went downstairs, played some cash, played a cash game for a little while. I was up a decent chunk, and then I lost a big pot to take away a lot of my profit. But I think I ended up winning like $60 on that session.
Yeah.
But it was still fun. It was a great day. I mean, I got some good food. Got to see the strip for the first time. This is my first time out in Vegas. But yeah, it's been great. I'm glad we can still make this part of the morning fixture. I mean, I knew I'd probably be up anyway because it's technically in my mental clock. It's 9 o'clock Eastern time, so I am typically awake by this time anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing is you and I don't know how to go to bed, and so I mean,
Correct.
in that respect, I mean, I was up last night finishing. So if you've never watched on Amazon Prime, if you never watched the series The Boys, which is a different take on the superhero world and people with powers, and asks a lot of questions about today's world and like today's America. So it's actually, it causes you to think and whatnot. Really good show. Then they have a spin-off show called Gen V, which is about the compound V that they put in the veins of these kids that turn them into superheroes.
Mm.
And I couldn't stop watching it. And so I got to the end of it last night. So now I finished it all 3 seasons, plus the spin-off
There you
one
go.
season. So I'm done. But I'm one of those people that, like, when I go to bed at night, I have to watch something. I got to just have something on, something to just, like, enjoy. And so that's what I was doing last night. And I put up a song on my story, and then it said, Brendan Murphy saw this, and I was like, well, at least I know we're both awake. So, like, at least I know we're both doing our thing.
I mean, realistically, I was awake. I think I fell asleep at like 11:30 last night. So,
yeah,
it's essentially 2:30 a.m. on the East Coast. So, I was wide awake. Well, I was not wide awake around that, but yeah. So far, so good. I got some plans to play a lot of golf out here. My plan as of right now, I haven't made the tee times for tomorrow and Wednesday yet, but I'm going to play tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday. And then I've got a big poker tournament tomorrow, actually, as part of the series that he's out here for. So I'm going to play in that. That one's, I don't want to say it's over my head, but it's maybe a little bit over my head. But we'll see. It'll be a good time. I'll register for that at some point. And then I'm going to play some other smaller stakes tournaments. I'm going to probably do some of that today. Because my buddy's gonna be working from about 7 till 11, so I think after we're done, I'm gonna go get some breakfast and then go upstairs, maybe try and take a nap for an hour or so, and then go find a tournament somewhere, just to get my tournament skills back and sharp, so that I can maybe run well tomorrow.
yeah.
Whoa!
So you're there, it looks like one of those things. Like I should ask a question when it's zooming in. I should ask like a really deep question, like Brendan. I know we're here to talk about this, but I need to know what happened
About
in
it.
July of 2018, and then it zooms in slowly. Dun, dun,
Man,
dun.
that's
And wait,
funny.
do I have any music like
That's
bum
funny.
bum bum bum? So, but
I
yeah,
don't know why it's doing that. I'm using my iPad, which obviously I don't normally do for the show. I typically use my desktop Mac at home, but you know, this is just really, really strange.
yeah.
I don't know why is it doing that? There's got to be some sort of setting.
I don't know.
Hold on, meeting
It's
settings.
fun though. It's creating a lot of fun.
Um,
So we are here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. DT and Murphy starts off your week, recapping the Major League Baseball season in this edition and speaking on the NFL at the midpoint. Murph, when I say 2023 Major League Baseball season, what are the first things that come to mind?
um, Injuries. I'd probably say that's the biggest one because there's a lot of superstars
Yeah.
that got hurt. I mean, the reigning Cy Young winner, Sandy Alcantara, needed Tommy John surgery. Jacob deGrom needed Tommy John surgery. Justin Verlander was hurt to start the year. Max Scherzer was hurt after he got traded to Texas at different times. The Yankees lost Aaron Judge for a while. Mike Trout was out. Shohei Ohtani needed Tommy John surgery. Every good player seemed to be getting hurt, which is a shame because they're, you know, especially Ohtani, he's once in a generation player.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to take away a lot of money from him in free agency. I still think he gets a lot of money, and we'll have that discussion probably back on the East Coast. But with Shohei, it's a matter of figuring out, you know, is he still going to pitch long term?
Yeah.
And is it sustainable? And we don't know the answer to those questions because no one's ever done this before. You know, when he first came over to the States, everyone's saying, "Oh, he might be, you know, you might have to pick one."
Yeah.
And he hasn't, and he's been great. So that's going to be interesting with him. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's really injuries that I think of were the first thing that would describe that season for me.
Yeah. I mean,
And unpredictable would be another good word for it too.
yeah. You know, I think when I think about the 2023 Major League Baseball season, I think people can more than understand with my favorite team that I would say surprising, incredible, exciting, riveting. I would say catch fire, better with time, played a full season. I mean, the Arizona Diamondbacks changed so much for me personally. Everything that they did. When I think 2023 Major League Baseball season, I think I would say gratitude, appreciation, because of the fact that, my team goes where they go. They get to the World Series, and I get to go with my dad. I get to go see my favorite team in Arizona. I've never been to the West, never been to Arizona, never been to Chase Field, never been to the World Series, and all of those now are checks. And
there you go.
So I think when I think on the 2023 Major League Baseball season, I never gave up. I always stayed positive. I always believed, and it was good to see that come to fruition. Beyond my Diamondbacks, I would say Corey Seager has my attention. I would say Shohei Ohtani.
He's him.
Yeah. I would
He
say
is him.
Shohei Ohtani, who I've come to really support and like. Kind of him having to go out was heartbreaking. Getting the news he can't do both next season, really sad. I would say I've learned a lot more about pitching and rotations and depth of pitching, depending on what team you're talking about. So I would say there's so many things learned, but gratitude and appreciation and Dad, we did it. I think would be the things that come to mind when I think about it. This is
the only thing that would have been better for you is if they had won 3 more games.
Right. Yeah. But to get there.
But I and this is the first time we've talked since the World Series ended. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize for cutting you off. I know it's, but I had said this to you like because you said I was the first person to text you after the series was over. I get it, right? Like my Mets were there in 2015. My Mets very easily could have won that series. You know, I think Diamondbacks probably it was the same thing as the Phillies last year. They just ran into a better team that beat them.
Yeah.
But I get it from a standpoint of I've watched my team go all the way and lose.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. It is, especially when realistically they could have easily won that series if it wasn't for some stupid mistakes. But ultimately, I look at this year's Diamondbacks team and see a bunch of young future stars that they have developed. They've made some good trades. They've gotten some good players. And realistically, and I told you this, they were probably a year or two ahead of schedule. So if they continue to do what they're doing and get really good pitching and swing the bat well, get on base and wreak havoc on the bases, they're going to win games and they're going to be back.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's my hope, right? My hope is that my Diamondbacks get to go back. And I tell people this all the time, as an impartial broadcaster here on the show, I mean, I'll talk about my Diamondbacks because, I'm proud of them and I'm happy for them. But I also honored the Rangers as the top dogs of the week last week because they were the better team. And you give credit where credit's due. Their defense was better, their pitching was better, their hitting was better, their timing was better. And they were just ice water in the veins, So I have to give that credit to them because they earned that credit. I love my Diamondbacks, and it was hard. It was hard to see a loss, but it was interesting because at the end of the game, when we were at Game 3, when they lost 3-1, I kind of stood there and I was like, okay, like how am I going to feel? We came across the country, 2,342 miles to see this. How am I going to feel? And honestly, I felt like every time I thought
Don't be afraid to say you didn't feel great.
Well, the thing was like when it ended and I was thinking about the game itself, I was like, oh, man. But then every time I thought about you're here, you're at the World Series, you're with your dad, everything went away. And people asked me about it yesterday. They were like, hey, saw that you went with your dad. Hey, how was it? And I've been wearing my World Series sweatshirt and one of my hats every day. Like, I washed my sweatshirt and then wore it again. I've been, wearing the Flash shirt this morning on the show. I've been wearing the sweatshirt. Like, I wake up, I put the sweatshirt on. And as sad as I was at the loss, it just kind of all went away because in my world, I went to the World Series. In my world, I did something on so many people's bucket lists. And in my world, I got to spend it with my dad. My dad's alive. We got to do it together. Like, I would implore everybody to go to the World Series. I spent the money. I wanted to do it. It was worth it. I never thought twice about it. And I don't think about it now. I don't think like, oh, man, I used money on the World Series. You don't miss.
The only thing you could probably say is you just wish they won.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's a once in a lifetime. Well, you can go to more than one World Series game. But my dad, I think I've told you this story before. So my dad used to build the concession stands at Shea Stadium.
Yeah. Back
in late '90s, early 2000s. So in 2000, when the Mets went to the World Series, he went to games 3 and 5. Now, game 3, he didn't get seats. He just scanned his ID badge and went into the game, and just kind of walked around and watched the game and everything. Game 5, he and my Uncle George bought tickets. So they went my Uncle George was but they didn't buy the tickets until they got in the stadium. My Uncle George was so nervous. He's like, oh, are you sure we're going to get in? Are you sure you're going to get in? He's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Get right in with his ID. They bought the tickets to the game. And to this day, those tickets are unripped. So you know how back in the day they used to rip the tickets? And Yeah, so each of us has one unripped 2000 World Series ticket from Game Five. So it's a pretty cool thing. It might be something I might try and get encapsulated by like PSA or something, just to be cool.
Yeah, yeah, and and it is. I mean, this when you look back on a season and we sit here and we recap what we saw, what we felt, what the whole Major League Baseball season brought about. I do see it differently and I feel it differently. I mean, this is it was just fun. It was
Yeah,
exciting. I mean, it was exciting to talk to people about the Diamondbacks and them say, "Nah, they're not going to make it. Nah, they're not good
it's fun when
enough."
your team makes a deep
Yeah,
run like that, especially when they're not expected
yeah.
to.
They're not going to make it.
That was literally the 2015 Mets.
Yeah.
They get you on Cespedes and they rode him to the World Series.
Well,
Well, they wrote Daniel Murphy to the World Series against the Cubs, but that's besides the point.
but I mean, I know, his bat was a little bit quieter, but terrific plays on defense. I mean, I've never seen a guy lay out, catch the ball, from one of his teammates, laying on the ground with his cleat on the bag. Christian Walker
Yeah,
stop a ball one
that's not
handed.
an easy play.
No, Christian Walker stopped the ball one handed. I look at Evan Longoria's prevention of catching the ball in the infield, just quickly putting that glove up and grabbing it. All these years he spent watching him as a Ray and then seeing him as a Diamondback and all of the effort that he gave us. I'm, so eternally grateful for that. To Alec Thomas in the outfield, to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. that stopped so many home runs, to Corbin Carroll and the plays that he made look effortless, to Zach Gallen, despite losing in the World Series, having his best game come right there at the end in the final game in Game 5 that he had in the postseason, to Merrill Kelly stepping up in a way that he honestly was the best pitcher that they had, to Brandon Pfaadt and everything that he did, and two incredible games that he had against the Dodgers and then against the Phillies before going into the World Series, and he's a rookie, to Gabriel Moreno getting hit in the head and hit in the hand and have all these things happen to him, and he
Yep.
doesn't come out and he doesn't stop, and he wins a Golden Glove and Walker wins a Golden Glove, to the 20-game postseason hitting streak, new record in Major League Baseball history, Ketel Marte.
That one's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
to Perdomo.
I'll tell you that, right?
I
That's
mean,
a ridiculous. That's a ridiculous streak.
but you go up and down the line, and every single one of those players did something. And to, Torey Lovello and the way that he managed this team and the way that he managed the pitching group and the way in Game 4s that he had to use this true committee and rotation and try and figure out the timing of it. I can't help but thank to Ginkel, to, honestly, Seawald, who had fantastic closes in these series.
He
Going
pitched
into the
real
World
well in the
Series.
postseason.
Yeah, I mean,
The thing
honestly,
is,
to
and
Tommy
what hurt the
Pham, I don't want to
Diamondback.
forget Tommy Pham.
Yeah.
The whole team gave me something special, and I'm the only
I get it.
Diamondback fan that I know up here in New York. So to fly out to Arizona, and I looked at my dad, and I said, "There's people like me somewhere." And to experience that, and experience the positivity of the fan base. The fan base was, they lost, and they're like, "We're gonna win. Let's go D-backs. We did it before. We'll do it again. We got this." And I'm walking out of an arena, and I've walked out of arenas hearing people say, "We suck. Sell the team. Sell the franchise. Fire the coach. Our quarterback sucks. There's no point in coming to the games. What a stupid game. They leave in the third quarter of a football game when there's plenty of time left." And then I go to a Diamondbacks game, and our heart sinks. And 2 seconds after our heart sinks.
I left in the fourth quarter yesterday.
Well, I mean, you also had no dog in the race. But
That's also a fair point.
you know what I mean? But
And it was an god awful game.
But to see that, to like 2 seconds after our collective almost 50,000 people heart sinks, we walk out together, and I didn't hear one bad word about the Diamondbacks. I didn't hear one bad thing about pitching, one bad thing about catching, hitting, fielding, nothing about Lovello. It was all positive. There were a bunch of people that said, "We just got hit in the gut, and we're going to come back tomorrow night, and we're going to love them up even more." And
Well, you know what
that was a
Rocky said.
blessing
It
in
ain't about
disguise
how
for
hard
me.
you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's what it sounds like it felt like out there.
Yeah, and they did. They got hit, they got up, and now it's like, all right, you know what? We'll be back next season. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep getting after it. We're going to keep doing what we can. And I am. I mean, reflecting when I thought about, okay, we're going to come up this morning and we're going to reflect on the Major League Baseball season. I'm reflecting on one of the greatest moments of my life. I'm reflecting on what it felt like to be a little kid, walk into the game with your dad, and I will forever have that moment and celebrate that moment and cherish that moment. And so when I look back on this season, there was a lot of things that happened. There was a lot of opinions we had. There was a lot of moments, but ultimately, I think two things. God, I am happy to be a Diamondbacks fan, and I always have been. And two, I'm probably never going to buy Texas Rangers gear for the rest of my life. But I respect them.
Yeah.
You know.
I kind of sat there with absolutely no doubt because usually at least recently in the World Series there's always one team that you just don't like,
Yeah.
right? You just despise this one team. That was not the case this year. Like I would have been perfectly happy if either one of these teams won. It really wouldn't have made a difference to me, right? If the Diamondbacks won, you get to be happy, which I'd be happy about. The Rangers win, which they did. I get to see some former Mets that I really wanted to. Sorry, I think they're moving like ping pong cables or something back here. But on the Rangers side, there's a lot of ex-Mets on that team. Like, I was thrilled to see Jacob deGrom get a ring.
Yeah.
I was thrilled to see Travis Jankowski get a ring. It was cool to see other guys on that team that got their first ones. And then others that have been there before. Bruce Bochy became, I think, the fifth manager in history to win 4. And then the quirky stat, Will Smith of the Rangers, first player in Major League history to win 3 World Series in a row with 3 different teams. If that's not impressive, I don't know what is. But like I said, I had no dog in the race.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed the series. It was good baseball. Anybody that, and they're going to say that this is the least viewed World Series of all in recent memory, which, by definition, sure it was. But people that didn't watch this series are not baseball fans. People watch the Yankees and the Dodgers because they're Yankees and Dodgers fans. They have big fan bases. These two teams obviously don't have huge fan bases. However, they are 2 very good baseball teams. Baseball fans in general should be watching the World Series, which I did, and I was thrilled about it. I loved it. So realistically, I was watching. I didn't watch every single minute of every game, but I watched pretty much every game and enjoyed every minute of it. It was a great series.
Yeah.
It was a great series, and that's the type of World Series I enjoy seeing. It's 2 teams that aren't typically there. The Rangers win it for the first time ever. Obviously I want my team to be in it first and foremost, but if my team's not going to be in it, I want to see 2 teams that would be considered underdogs. Like, I don't want to see the Braves in the World Series. I don't want to see the Dodgers in the World Series. I don't want to see the Yankees in the World Series. I just want to see 2 good baseball teams that maybe come from smaller markets or maybe don't have the world's biggest fan bases that weren't expected to be there because it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Because because those fan bases are gonna have to admit, you know what? We got to enjoy this while it lasts because we don't know when the next time they're going to be back is. Now, in these 2 teams' case, they're both going to be back. They were both very good teams. And again, the Rangers were marred by injury. The fact that they ended up winning the World Series is nothing short of miraculous.
Yeah.
But the Diamondbacks are a team that are just ahead of schedule. They just are a really good team. They got real hot at the right time. It's like last year's Phillies. They weren't necessarily ready to win, but they got there because of how well they played. They got red hot at the right time. That's how you make a run in baseball. Because baseball is a marathon, not a sprint. Obviously, it is a sprint in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But the Diamondbacks having to go through it, and then they beat some good teams. They beat some good teams to get to the World Series. So, I tip my cap to them. That was a fantastic year for them. But you also got to give credit where credit's due. The Rangers did their thing. They go on to win the World Series without Jacob DeGrom and basically without Max Scherzer as well, because he didn't really do much in the World Series. So ultimately, it was a phenomenal series. I really enjoyed it, and I'm already counting down the days till opening day of 2024.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny, and this will make you'll have some appreciation for this, and so will Ross for sure, and Papa Joe and Joey. I have never been more excited for opening day than I am right now. I have
Mm-hmm.
never wanted, like, I literally said yesterday, I was like, can spring training be today? Can it be tomorrow? I mean, can
I
we just
know.
get back at it and get back into it? I want to go see the Diamondbacks. I want to go back to Arizona. I want to enjoy this. And so, it's hard to find, and I've tried for a week. There's a week ago today that I was down there with my dad. I've tried for a week to find the words, and I just, I there are none. I bump into someone, they say, Dan, how was it? What was it like being there with your dad? God, it must have been fun. Congrats on your team. And I just stand there like a deer in headlights. Like I don't know the words. I just can tell you that every time I think about it, I think about looking at my dad looking at the game. And I'm just staring at my dad while he's watching the game and I'm going, wow. Like I want to cry right now. And that's the memory that just stays with me is watching my dad watch the World Series. My dad loved baseball his whole life. He always wanted me to get into it, and now I am. Just so ingrained in it. And he said to me, he was like, "Listen, I'm a Yankee fan." And he's like, "I'll continue to be a Yankee fan, but I'm going to cheer on the Diamondbacks as long as they're not playing the Yankees and it's got nothing to do with the Yankees. I'm cheering on the Diamondbacks every game." He bought a ton of gear. He was rock. He's like, I'm not gonna go to the stadium and not buy Diamondbacks gear. He's like, I really like
Oh,
their
of course.
logos and I like their stuff. And I mean, we
If
were.
there's one thing about the Diamondbacks, their gear is sick.
I know.
Do you remember when they wore? Now, I don't think I have any. I don't think I have any jerseys from them. But do you remember when they wore the? What was it? They had the charcoal grays with lettering that went all the way down, and then you had um, this really cool thing at the bottom of the pants that like went off the black. Those uniforms, and I know they don't wear them anymore, but those uniforms were sick. I was that year. I flat out said those are the best uniforms I've ever seen in baseball. Now people didn't like them, but I
Yeah.
loved them. I thought they were sweet.
I love the Serpientes stuff that they did for Hispanic Heritage Month, and I actually got a T-shirt for the Serpientes when they changed to that. The serpents, aka the snakes, and went to gold and black, which is also something that Toronto has done in their connection with Drake and OVO. So it's just funny how my teams all of my teams have a connection. Like Jacksonville and Arizona go to this like teal vibrant color. And then the Raptors in Arizona have that purple color. And then they have, like each of them has tested out the gold at certain times. So it's just funny how it all works out. But listen, I mean, how do I recap one of the greatest years of my life and greatest birthday gifts ever? Thank you, God. Thank you, Diamondbacks. Thank you, Lavello. I mean, thank you to the management, to everybody that works on it. Thank you to the incredible talent that worked so hard to do what they've done. Thank you to all the teams that were willing to get rid of all those players that came to us and built a family. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
thank you for all of that. But beyond my Diamondbacks, what do I appreciate? I appreciate that I'm more in love with the game now. Like I have honestly grown to love it, and I blame Papa Joe, and I blame collecting, doing sports cards with you and collecting that. Like I look at baseball so much now. I'm trying to collect baseball, and during this whole process, I went to GG Cards and Breaks, and I bought up a ton of rookies. Ketel Marte, Christian Walker, Gabriel Moreno, Corbin Carroll, So I have my World Series guys. Like I bought up a ton of their stuff. Have all this Merrill Kelly. Bought a bunch of things. Brandon Pfaadt. I have all of this stuff. And so to me, thanks to GG Cards and Breaks for having every Major League Baseball, NFL, and NBA team so that I could go to your Diamondback box and buy it up. I might go in there at some point this week, take the box and go, okay, what do you want for the rest of the box? I'll just take the rest of the box. But
there you go.
So you and I have connected on it. PJ and I have connected on it, and Joey and Ross and my dad. So I love the fact that now I'm even more into it. Now I'm like in that position of 2024 season, calling you up and saying, Murph, I'm going to come in for a couple days. Let's go to a Mets game. Let's go do this and that. Let's go hang out at a Mets game for the weekend and, do a broadcast out there and just take in the Mets.
Yeah.
Come support your
That'd
team.
be fun.
So it's stuff like that. And now that I know that, Murph will go to Vegas for a week, now I know I got another Diamondback buddy if I need one.
Well,
so.
I know I'm going to be in Europe for a week next year.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
What are you going to the
for
next
wedding.
Germany
I'm going
game?
for a wedding.
Okay. All right.
No, God no. God no.
So, and let's see.
God no.
But what's with the Bobcat mascot? Oh, for the Diamondbacks. Yeah. Apparently there was a story of one of the kids that said something about it, and that's where it all came from. But I do want to make mention about this because there's something that Greg said. Greg asked me at the beginning of the season if I would take the over or under on the Diamondbacks having, I think it was 69.5 wins.
Oh, I would have hammered the over.
And I said, and remember, folks, I took the over. I took the over very much so and said, don't be surprised if they win 90 games. And
we did talk about that early in the season too.
Yeah, and I did, but I took the over and I said, don't be surprised if they win 90. They won 84 in the regular season and they surpassed 90. So not only did I take the over on the 69.5, but I said that they would get to 90 wins, and I thought they'd get to 90 in the regular season. They got over 90 this season and made the World Series. So
I figured
that
90 in the
correct.
regular season was a stretch,
yeah.
But I knew I would. I mean, I even said absolutely smoke, hammer the over.
Yeah, and we took it. So thank you, Diamondbacks, for proving us right. Murph is in the place where you can bet on things like that. He is in Vegas. We'll be back after this fast break to talk about the NFL season at the midpoint. We are in Week 9, folks, which means we are halfway through the regular season. Where is your team at? Where is the NFL at? And why in the hell did the NFL give us so many not great games in 1 week? We'll talk about it all after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located for you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. Make sure you head out there 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Sundays from 10 to 5, GG Cards and Breaks has your soccer, hockey, basketball, football, baseball cards, as well as Pokemon, the new Disney Lorcana, AEW, and more. GG Cards and Breaks is the perfect place to start your hobby and the perfect place to continue that hobby. GG Cards and Breaks here in Central and Upstate New York reminds us that it is so much more fun to watch the sports we love with the cards of those players and of those teams that we love so very much. So make sure you head out to GG today and make new memories with this same great hobby. And I am very proud to say that I have worked in partnership with the Wildcat Sports Pub and GG Cards and Breaks to take two of my wonderful partners in the community and bring them together on Thursday, November 16th, as we will take the trade night that typically happens on site at GG Cards and Breaks and bring it on the road to the Wildcat Sports Pub so you can have some awesome pizza, wings, wraps, fried dough, so on and so forth. Come there, have dinner, and buy, sell, and trade your cards. I'm going to be broadcasting live from the event, and I'm also going to be bringing some of my collection to buy, sell, and trade with you. So looking forward to seeing you at the Wildcat on Thursday, November 16th with GG Cards and Breaks. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with the man they call Murph, and we are here to speak on NFL at its midpoint. And I just wrote a message here to the live feed that we have on Facebook And that message was that looking at these games this weekend, they didn't all look pretty. They didn't all look great. However, when I do look at this, and we could still, and Murph wanted to show some cards, which absolutely, there's always the opportunity for show and tell. If it's DT and Murphy, it's show and tell time. And
Always. Now, I don't have them actually with me.
Yeah.
I have a picture of them.
But we can talk
they're back
about
home. They're back home in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But we can talk about it for sure.
And I just want to make a note here. This NFL season, folks, has been interesting. This week, going into it, you look at some of these games and you say, Minnesota, Atlanta, both starting a different quarterback. Arizona, Cleveland, Washington, New England. Oh, my goodness. Some people, Indy, Carolina, they're like New York, Giants, Vegas. They're, yawn. And yet, some of these games were really awesome. You know, New Orleans, Chicago came down to a touchdown. Washington, New England tied late, come down to a field goal. You know, Cleveland blew out Arizona, and then Minnesota finds a way.
Naturally.
With their rookie. Yeah. And this is the thing about Arizona. Again, I'm not going to say they're tanking, but I'm not going to not say they're tanking. Your starting quarterback hasn't played all season, and your backup quarterback, who's been serviceable as your starting quarterback, you just traded away to Minnesota so you could play your third-string quarterback.
Let me ask you this, though. How can they possibly tank when they've got the Bears and the Panthers, and the Bears own both picks, that both suck worse?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I guess you're just – I mean, I don't –
They're going to end up with the third overall pick. They're going to end up with Drake May.
And the thing is, I don't understand what Arizona's mentality is, because to go through this season
You already
and
have
say,
your franchise quarterback. I don't get it.
yeah, well, it's like, I got Josh Dobbs. He's playing well. He's been able, you know, even though we're not necessarily winning these games, he's at least getting us through this. He's making.
I don't blame them for trading him, though.
Well,
I do think that was actually the right decision.
But the thing is you trade him so you can have what? You have one quarterback. You bring another guy up. I mean, to me,
well, you get value for a guy that's playing
but you're
well,
not looking
but not
for
necessarily.
This season.
Yeah, but you know your team's not going anywhere this year, so you're a seller. It's
Right.
like what the Mets did at the trade deadline. They traded away Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer because they weren't going to need him this year.
Right.
And were they under contract next year, and could they help the team next year? Sure. But they weren't in the long-term interest of this team. So they traded him. That's exactly what the Cardinals did with Josh Dobbs. And I think it made all sense in the world.
You know, and I mean, and Greg said you have Kyler Murray, but do you? You don't have him this season so far. And the question is, are they going to keep him? Are they going to continue to roll with him? Or are they going to let him go? I mean, we've seen this team get rid of their coaches quickly, get rid of their quarterbacks quickly. So, you know, what do they want to do with this? Somebody on our feed on Podbean said basketball. If you have a question on it, go ahead and send it in. We do talk basketball all season long. I'll be at the Syracuse opening game of the men's basketball season tonight against New Hampshire in the Dome. So, you know, but looking at Kyler Murray, we've waited this long to see him. We're 9 weeks in. The question to me now is, do they really want to put him out there? Do they really want to play him? Does he just say, hey, you know what? Let me sit. And the thing is, if he sits longer or if he goes in and comes out again, I have a feeling that they're looking to protect an asset that they're going to trade. That's
Fair
how I
enough.
look at Kyler Murray.
That's true. I mean, they could probably still get a lot for Kyler Murray, I would think. They could probably get at least a one, if not more, for Kyler. And I think that would, that could be used as fuel to maybe go up and get somebody, or even if you stay at, let's assume everything goes as expected. The Bears pick first and second, and then Cardinals pick third.
Yeah.
You figure the Bears will take Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., and then Drake May is in your lap. And people think Drake May might be even better. So maybe you pick Drake May and you're perfectly happy. Or if the Bears pass on Drake May, then you've got Caleb Williams. Interesting enough. I'm just interested to see what the NFL draft has in store. But this is the one thing I don't necessarily like about football is you're always looking ahead to the draft. You're always looking ahead to the draft, and you're thinking, why are we looking at the draft when it is week 9 right now, in the beginning of November?
Yeah.
Like, worry about the draft when it comes around. Like, worry about the draft in the offseason. You want to talk about the draft in February? Sure. But, I mean, obviously teams want to tank for position. Now, I kind of say that, me having done that in the past. Obviously, my team's is in it right now, so I'm not worried. I don't give a crap about the draft. The only crap I give about the draft is the fact that the Jets will not be giving the Packers their first-round pick this year. Thank God. But actually, I would have preferred them to give the first-round pick, because that would mean we'd have Aaron Rodgers playing all year. But mark my words, he'll be back. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
But I'm just ready to watch football, man. Like, this has been one of those years where I just want to see good teams win, and the crappy teams lose. I want to see my team win, and then I see, I actually had a hot take at the beginning of the week. The Dolphins were going to kick the crap out of the Chiefs in Germany, and that was not the case.
No.
That was not the case. Just, absolutely be so cruel, but I will say this: the Dolphins might be frauds.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to see that, because what we have seen, and what I want people to understand here, is Kansas City has not put together a great offense, but they've put together an offense that has done enough to win. They haven't put together a fantastic showing on offense. The Jets almost beat them. The Jaguars almost beat them. Denver almost beat them, and then they beat them the second time around. Kansas City hasn't looked great on offense, but they've been good enough. And so I'm looking at Kansas City saying, do they eventually run into a team that just pushes them to a place that they don't go to this season, that they just don't get to that level? Or are we going to say they won another Super Bowl grinding it out in a different way? Kansas City's a really good team, and Miami can score, but they held them down. Dare I say, Kansas City's defense, when everybody focuses on their offense for the last 5 years, is their defense finally there? Has their defense caught up and surpassed their offense? How do people see that? Because Kansas City, whether you like it or not, is 7-2, and they keep finding ways to win no matter how much they're pushed and no matter how
Should be
far
6
into
and
the game
3.
they're pushed. What'd you say?
It should be 6-3.
6-3?
It should be.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think Kansas City could be 5-4 right now, because Jacksonville was 0-4 in the red zone at home, and if they had gotten any one of those in there, I don't know if Kansas City down the stretch could have kept pushing their point total higher. And then the Jets with a late call on defensive holding, that's another thing. So I mean, we could be talking about a 5-4. But that's what I'm saying.
Late is an understatement. They threw the freaking flag after the play.
Yeah. Well, but I saw that in the Syracuse game this past week. I'm in the Dome, and I'm watching the Syracuse game, and the play is over. It's done. They blow the whistle, and the ref in the back is watching, and the play ends. Everything finishes. He's staring at it, and then he throws the flag. And I was like, what is going on right now? Like, he waited for the whole thing to end, the whole thing to be done, and he was like, okay, yeah, and then threw the flag. So, there's been some very questionable flags collegiately as well as professionally. And, I think if you throw a flag well after the play is called dead, to me, no matter what, you're going to be questioned on that, because what did you see that took so long that you waited to call that flag?
Yeah, I mean, it could be you trying to make up your mind as to whether it's foul or not, but at the same time, like, if it's holding, you're going to just call it. You're not going to wait to throw the flag. It's either holding or it's not. That's the thing.
Yeah. And I mean, so I think, again, talking about, is this team really that team, right? Is Kansas City really going to once again surpass everybody, or has it been exposed that Kansas City's offense can't hang as much, and that they're leaning more on their defense tonight, and like I said, has the defense finally caught up to the offense. So Greg wants to know, where are you watching your Jets Chargers tonight? Maybe the Circus Sports bar pool, nice property downtown.
That's a good question. I was actually thinking about that myself, so I'm glad you asked that, Greg. I was thinking of going somewhere like cool, like they have the stadium swim up bar. My cousin was actually there on Sunday to watch the games, but it was a lot of money. The short answer is I think I'm just going to watch it downstairs in the sports book.
Okay.
So the sports book's actually, obviously it's in the hotel, so I don't have to go anywhere. But I think I'm going to go down there simply because I would imagine there'll be other Jets fans there wanting to watch the game. And I might be able to have a couple fans with me to root them on, and that'll be nice. I could watch it in the room because we have a giant TV in the room. And we're talking, this must be like a 60-inch TV. Like, the thing's huge. I've never seen a TV that big in a hotel room. Yes, it is. I'll probably end up. I think the short answer is I want to probably end up watching it downstairs in the sports book.
Yeah, so exciting to see it, though. I picked the Jets to win this game at home, so we will see. And we'll definitely have the opportunity to enjoy them on primetime once again. All these primetime Jets
next
games
2 weeks
set up for Aaron Rodgers, but the Jets get to enjoy it. By the way, and I didn't tell you this, Murph, until right now, but why not? I spent the better part of the majority of the Syracuse Friday night football game against Kansas City sitting one seat over from a New York Jets scout who I spoke with right before he left and gave him some love for Sauce Gardner, and I wished his team the best. I said, I hope your team does well, and, give my best to, I told him, I said I covered Sauce in college for the Cincinnati Bearcats. So we talked about Sauce. He's like, man, he's great. You could tell he enjoys and appreciates being around him, and I wished him the best. So just so you know, I was spending some time with the Jets scouting team over this past week.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty darn cool.
So we shall see. We'll have some fun with it. Taking a look at it, though, at the midpoint of the NFL, and I know we have a game still to play tonight, but at the midpoint, the AFC East has the Dolphins in first place, which, if you go back and listen to the tape, I said, don't be surprised if Miami comes up to if they have a chance to win this thing, be in the top two. They're first, then the Jets, then the Bills, who already have 4 losses, and then the Patriots, who have 7. In the North, the Ravens are 7-2. Steelers, as bad as people want to say Kenny Pickett and the team is, they're 5-3. Browns are 5-3. The Bengals are 5-3. In the South of the AFC, the Jaguars are 6-2 in first place. The Texans, with rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud, who's arguably the best rookie quarterback in the league right now.
One of the best games I've ever seen yesterday.
Yeah, 4-4. Then the Colts have a losing record, and the Titans have a losing record with 3 different quarterbacks. The AFC West, Kansas City 7-2, and nobody else has a winning record. Vegas has already fired their head coach and GM. They're 4-5. The Chargers are 3-4. And the Broncos are 3-5, despite the fact that the Broncos have had a good last few weeks. When I tell you about the AFC and the standings, and we say Dolphins then Jets, Ravens then Steelers, Jaguars then Texans, Chiefs then Raiders, what are your thoughts about the NFL's AFC at the midpoint?
Not all that surprising. We all expected the Chiefs to run away with the AFC West again. We expected the AFC North to be the best division in football. The South is basically the Jaguars and then nobody else. Again, not really all that surprising. And then you have the AFC East, and I'm not at all surprised to see Miami up there. I think they're a good team, but at the same time, I genuinely think they could be frauds. They haven't beaten anyone with a winning record.
Yeah.
All their losses are to good teams. Now, granted, you can say at the same time, they've only lost to the good teams. They've beaten all the bad teams. Well, sure. But when are they going to beat a good team? We play them on Black Friday, and that is I think that's gonna be the first time I'll really see, because I'm gonna look very hard at that game, and if the Jets win that game, I think they'll have the inside track to win that division, because every other team in the AFC East lost this week. If the Jets win tonight, they will be the only team to have won, and what would that do to the standings? Let me double check. That would put them just half a game behind the Dolphins for first place.
Yeah.
That is very interesting to think about, and half a game above the Bills. So I just want to see what Miami does, because they've lost to all the bad teams, or they've lost to all the good teams that they've played. Now, coming up in their schedule for Miami, they have the bye week next week, which if the Jets were to win the next two, if they were to win tonight and then they were to win next Sunday night against the Raiders, they'll be tied for first.
Yeah.
And then if you figure the Raiders will beat the Dolphins, I don't expect that to be a problem for them. And then afterwards, after the Raiders, the Jets play the Bills, which that's in Buffalo. That could go either way. Let's just say, for all intents and purposes, that each of those teams goes 1-1.
Yeah.
And then you're playing on Black Friday for the division lead. That would be an interesting storyline. Now, I don't necessarily think the Jets will beat the Bills. I do think they'll get to 6-3, and then they'll lose to the Bills and be 6-4, and then they'll go to Miami, and then they'll host the Dolphins on Black Friday and at MetLife Stadium, and we'll have to see what Miami's ultimately going to do from that, because again, they have not beaten a good team. They're 6-3, but their losses include the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Bills. And the Bills didn't just beat them. The Bills destroyed them. Absolutely destroyed them.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. But I actually had a question for you.
Yes.
And I was thinking about this as you were reading off the AFC South. Is it too early to say that C.J. Stroud is far and away the better quarterback than Bryce Young?
No, I don't think at all. I think C.J. Stroud has more than proven stepping in as one of the top
better
three.
Situation, though, too.
Yeah. So picked after Bryce Young. But, I mean, you got to think about Houston, though. Houston's gone through a bunch of coaching changes. They lost Brandon Cooks. They haven't had a rushing attack. Then they got Damian Pierce. They've struggled with finding points offensively. They have struggled to stop anybody defensively. J.J. Watt hasn't been there in years. So this Houston team was a shell of itself, but in a better situation than Carolina was.
Oh, my God,
was
yeah.
also a shell of itself. And
Carolina they had nobody left.
Yeah. So do I blame Bryce Young for Carolina's overwhelming issues? No. The same reason I don't blame Matt Rule for the one season he spent there as a coach. But C.J. Stroud overall has this team pushing toward the playoffs, where I think Carolina's got a shot of getting back-to-back number one picks like Jacksonville a couple of years ago. And Bryce Young,
they don't even have that pick.
Yeah. Well,
that's the funny part.
But the thing is, there's one game this season where the game ended and they show Bryce Young on the field and he's got his helmet off. He legitimately looked like a deer in headlights. I mean, he was walking off the field wide-eyed, like, what did I get myself? Like, what is going on? And so
you're not in Alabama anymore, buddy.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, I honestly believe that C.J. Stroud has just been a good overall leader, and he has made the team far better with this move. And so
I think he ends the discussion of Ohio State quarterbacks to fail in the NFL. I think he ends that debate.
It's been a really long time, but yeah, I mean, I think he's more than proven himself that, he is the guy.
Has he had his poor moments? Sure.
Yeah.
But he played the game of his life yesterday.
Right. And he's the guy that I think they can look at, and reflect upon in Ohio State and say, whatever we sent guys to the NFL, they didn't translate. We sent guys to the NFL, they switched to wide receiver from quarterback. C.J. Stroud is just a really strong player, and he's been great, and he's got a shot at Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I think
so too.
I honestly believe that
Well,
C.J. Stroud
keep in
is,
mind,
yeah,
Puka Nakua is
yeah.
still
But
hanging around.
I feel like C.J. Stroud has done more than enough to make me believe that he is one of the best assets through the 2023 draft and one of the best moves the Texans have made in
Yeah.
many, many years.
It's the first time with what they did with those 2 picks. That's the first time I saw the Raiders. I'm in Vegas. I'm thinking of the Raiders. That's the first time I've seen the Texans make a reasonably good football decision.
Yeah.
With making those 2 picks, with C.J. Stroud and I think it was Will Anderson they took third, right?
Yeah.
From Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those 2 picks were great, and I am by no means going to say the Texans are making a run this year because they're not. I wouldn't be shocked if they missed the playoffs, but that is a team that with a rookie quarterback is taking a step in the right direction. If they go out and win, even if they only win 3 more games the rest of the year, finish at 7-10.
Yeah.
I would view that as, from a Texans standpoint, as a major accomplishment because they were awful last year. And then they came in with a rookie quarterback and played well enough to win 7 games. That would be massive for that team. For the confidence, for going into the offseason, they can sell, hey, so we got a good young quarterback, to receivers and to any other guys that they might draft or sign in free agency. So this is like the first time they've made a reasonably good organizational decision in quite some time.
Yeah.
And it was surprising to see it. But they're looking up. They are definitely looking up. It's not going to be this year. May not even be next year. But they'll, if they continue to go in the right direction and build things out well, they'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, the Houston Texans, honestly, C.J. Stroud from the jump has just been a pleasure to watch. And, I'm a Jaguar fan, always been a Jaguar fan since 1995 when they came into the league. But C.J. Stroud is one heck of a player, and I can't, I would give the man his flowers. He has had a wonderful start to his season. He's been really, really awesome, and I have all the respect in the world for the work that he's done in Houston. And if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And so the better he gets, the more it pushes Jacksonville to be better, is how I look at it. But C.J. Stroud's been incredible, in my opinion. To go to the other side of this, and also,
Can I pop in for just a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you guys saw the group of people that was just walking past me. I think that was the USC women's basketball team.
That's awesome.
Because they're playing Ohio State at T-Mobile Arena at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Pacific. And I'm seeing them walk by, and I see the one guy walk with a big – and I'm seeing all the women, and I'm like, that looks like a women's basketball team.
Yeah.
Sure enough, they are playing Ohio State at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific at T-Mobile Arena. And they just happened to be here. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah, and that's
very random. I'm sorry, but that was I had to say something about that.
No, absolutely. And the cool thing about it is those of you out in Colorado today, or those of you that were at the airport, seeing a team go to the airport here yesterday, you saw the Lemoyne College women's basketball team head on the road to Colorado to face Colorado State. And then right after
I was in Denver yesterday
to face the University.
I didn't see him, but I was in Denver yesterday.
Yeah, so
that was where my layover was.
Yeah, so they're facing.
It was a quick layover, but I was there.
Facing the University of Colorado after facing Colorado State this week to start off their first ever Division I season. Quick notes for me on the AFC. I am not surprised in Miami because I thought that this could happen, but I think that division is not going to get figured out until the last couple of weeks of the season. Baltimore looks like they're definitely contenders once again with Lamar Jackson. We talk about the value of C.J. Stroud to the Texans. Whether you like Lamar Jackson or not, when he's there, the team is fighting for a championship. When he's not there, the team is struggling to get in the playoffs. Jacksonville, 5-game winning streak, 6-2. They won 2 games in London, came home and won that following Sunday, then won on a Thursday, then won again, and now took a break, and now they're back at it. And really proud of them. Thought they did a tremendous job up to this point. Kansas City, their defense, arguably maybe one of the best, if not the best defense Patty Mahomes has had in Kansas City. Shift to the NFL's NFC. Philadelphia's 8-1. No surprise to me. Dallas is in second place.
Hey, wait. Hey, Eagles fans. Who's that one lost to?
Yeah, the Jets. So,
oh, yeah.
And that says something about the Jets. Philadelphia 8-1, Dallas 5-3. Is Dallas a contender or a pretender? Jury's still out. Played Philly within 5, lost to Arizona. So very much of a strange season once again for Dak Prescott.
They're still coming.
Right. And
you can probably hear them in the background. They're still coming.
Oh yeah. The Detroit Lions, who I picked to win the division, they are 6-2, but the Vikings have 5 wins, and they are right behind them. 4 losses though. Green Bay has 3-5, Chicago 2-7. Not really surprised in where Green Bay's at. Maybe I think they'd have another win or so, but Chicago didn't anticipate them being that high. New Orleans in the division that I said was the worst division in football going into the season. The NFC South, all you got to be is 5-4. Everybody else has a losing record. Stop the presses if you've heard it before, which you have. But Carolina's not the worst team in the nation. That belongs to the NFC West, Arizona Cardinals. 1-8 on the season. The Los Angeles Rams are 3-6. Seattle Seahawks are 5-3, and the Niners are 5-3. The Niners on a 3-game losing streak after they came into the season 5-0, and some people considered them the darling of the NFC and the only team that could beat Philadelphia, and now they've been struggling.
I don't think that's the case anymore. No, I think they've very much come back down to earth. So, they have very much come back down to earth. Brock Purdy has too.
Yeah. So thoughts on the NFC beyond that?
I mean, it's kind of no different than last year.
Yeah.
It's basically the Eagles and everybody else. It's the Eagles, and I don't expect any team to beat them. And that's not necessarily saying the Eagles are that amazing because, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. But they're like, who's going to compete with them? They manhandled Dallas both times they played them. The NFC North really isn't good. The Vikings just lost Kirk Cousins. Jordan Love and the Packers haven't been very good. The Bears haven't been good. That team, Detroit is still – Detroit's there. They're playing solid, but I don't think they're beating the Eagles. And then you got NFC South, worst division of football. Not even going to entertain the idea of anybody from there making it. And then NFC West. It's the Niners, and they weren't really that good.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I'm not overly thrilled about the NFC. I would not be shocked if the Eagles basically can sleepwalk to the Super Bowl again. It would not shock me one bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, again, I think Philadelphia going into the season, we talked about how many great quarterbacks are in the NFL. And when you look at it, most of them are on one side. You have Jalen Hurts on the other side, and then Dak is up and down. Jared Goff's been playing pretty good, but you can't put anybody else in that in the NFC.
Who would have thought that?
Right, but then you look at the AFC, and you look at Tua, Lamar, to Josh Allen, to Trevor Lawrence, to the up and coming C.J. Stroud, to Patty Mahomes, to Justin Herbert. And so the AFC is just chock full of the elite quarterbacks and the could-be elite quarterbacks. And then the NFC really is Jalen Hurts and everybody else. And that's exactly how the Eagles look in the NFC right now. So, we'll see where it shakes out from here. Any final notes, Murph, as we move past the midpoint? By the way, my best to your Jets tonight. I will be watching and enjoying that game, and I know you will be as well. Yep. I hope you win money. I haven't seen you since before my birthday, so whatever you win, anything that you think would be good to get for my birthday, if you have some time to shoot over to Arizona, if you're up by a certain amount of money and you want to...
I am actually going to take a quick trip into Arizona.
Okay.
There's a golf course I'm going to play on Friday that is basically in Arizona. It's in Mesquite, Nevada, but it's like I could hit a driver to Arizona.
Yeah.
My buddy had said that the drive on I-15 from Mesquite all the way up into Utah is like sick. So I might actually take that drive because it's only like a 45-minute drive to get to there. So and then it'd be about a 2-hour drive back to here from there.
Yeah. So,
but
I'm just saying. But and you wanted to
real
show
quick though because I said
yeah.
I was gonna do it.
Yeah.
They're all in one picture, but I thought I'd show them off because I got some cool stuff this weekend. This was on Saturday before I went out. So
yeah,
this one right here, I think that's Brees, right? Now that one's that's your boy, Zach Wilson. That is a really interesting rookie premiere RPA.
Yeah, that's cool.
Of Zach Wilson. There's a very similar type one of Brees Hall. I finally got my Garrett Wilson RPA.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You've seen all these already, but still.
Yeah.
And then I got some stuff for an investment. This one's an investment. This is Jackson Holiday, Bowman Draft, Chrome first. And then this will be at the show in Syracuse on December 3rd. Picked up a Josh Allen, Donruss rookie. PSA 9, but still should be an easy sale up there.
Yeah. I think that's the same one that I had, the rated rookie. So,
yep.
Which I sold up there as well. So for that, awesome stuff. Love that you have your Jets. By the way, I did that whole prank on Murph that you can go back and watch on all of our outlets. And from the prank that I did on Murph of having Zach Wilson cards all throughout my house for him to find to today where he is buying Zach Wilson cards, we've come full circle.
It was $30 and it was a sweet patch.
I know, but I look at it like this, dude. He's been vindicated in your life. We came full circle with Zach Wilson.
He's done well this year. And has he been great? No, but he's putting them in positions to win games. He has the fewest turnovers or fewest interceptions by a quarterback in the NFL since I think week 4.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's coming. He's doing some good things. The Jets have an opportunity at the playoffs halfway through the season. Can't be upset with that. With that being said.
Especially with Rodgers coming back later.
Yeah.
At some point.
So, with that being said.
He will be. Mark my words.
Please enjoy. You heard it here first from Murph. Enjoy your time in Vegas. I hope it is long and fun and goes by slowly. I hope you are healthy, safe, and happy. Have a great time. Say hi to your buddy. Say hi to USC.
Will do.
And go and win some money. And I look forward to hearing all about it.
Appreciate it, sir. I will talk with you soon.
All right, man. Be good.
Hey.
See you. That coming from Murph once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Getting up with us early on the West Coast and spending time with us here from Las Vegas this morning as Wake Up Call makes history, going picture in picture from New York to Vegas. Both with two cities that don't sleep. They always say New York is the city that never sleeps, but does Vegas ever truly go to bed? I would venture to say probably not. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back momentarily with the head coach of the Saxons football team. Very excited to have Bob Rankl joining me here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, momentarily, as we have spoken with Bob throughout the season.
Recording in progress.
He was the first Saxon spotlight that we did with the Alfred University Saxons. So Bob Rankl will be joining me on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora right after this fast break, picture in picture. Stay with us. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years.
Recording stopped.
And is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and it is my honor and my privilege throughout the year to bring you the Saxons Spotlights, spotlighting the Alfred University Saxons coaches, administration, as well as their alumni and student athletes, and I am more than honored and privileged to have my next guest back here on the broadcast. He is no stranger to the broadcast, as Bob Rankl has joined me all throughout. He was my first Saxon Spotlight, and he is here with us today during the football season to continue the conversation. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dan. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, and as we look at, where the season's been at and kind of the adversity and the ups and downs, those big moments in a positive way and then those teachable moments, how do you assess kind of where the team is at right now through everything that you've experienced?
Well, certainly we have very high expectations and a very high standard for ourselves within our football program. So I think it's safe to say that we're not satisfied with where we are. That being said, I do think, we've had a group of guys that are playing hard throughout the season. We're at 4-5 right now. We have an opportunity to go to Brockport this week. They're a very good football team. But at the end of the day, we'd love to go up there, pull off the upset, and finish with a 500 record going into the offseason. For us, we think that would be a nice step moving forward in terms of preparing for our 2024 campaign.
Yeah, and we look at the game that I was there to broadcast back at the homecoming game on October 7th, SUNY Morrisville, a comeback victory on homecoming to win that 14-10. After that game, your team took to the road for 2 out of 3 games and lost those 3 games in a row to SUNY Cortland on the road, Utica at home, and St. John Fisher on the road before beating Hartwick College most recently on November 4th this past Saturday. What did you learn from that 3-game losing streak and just kind of what your takeaways were from everything that was so high on homecoming to going through that adversity at that point in the season?
Well, we definitely learned that losing isn't fun. That was first and foremost. Hey, you just got to – the football season, it's a 10-week grind, and you got to survive the highs and lows. And you're going to have games where you feel great about yourself and your players feel great about yourself. And then there's times when you got to grind it out. And, we went through a 3-game stretch there where we played 3 pretty good teams, and I don't think we played at our best without a doubt. But at the end of the day, you just got to keep grinding it out week after week and survive the highs and lows of the season without a doubt.
When you look on the season so far with another game coming up, what have been some of your proudest moments of this team?
I'm just proud of the way that our guys have continued to compete, all year long. And every game that we've won, that we've gone into, I feel like our players have given us 4 quarters of hard physical football, and that's at the end of the day what we ask for more than anything else. And certainly look for our guys to continue to do that moving forward. We have a standard, and within our football program, it's a culture of hard work. We have a discipline, right, and high character, and I think our guys have continued to display that culture, and that's what we're going to do for the final week of the season, and that's what we're going to do going into our off season.
25 years that you've been connected to this Alfred University Saxons program. What do you learn about yourself when you're a quarter of a century in at one school? What are you learning about your coaching style, about you as you go through this 25th season?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't know, but I can just tell you that, like this weekend, we had Hall of Fame weekend. We had two guys back, Chad Pieri and Vincent Hendricks, who were put into the Hall of Fame, great players that played back in 2009 and 2010. And, I'm not sure exactly what I've learned about myself, but I can tell you that over the 25 years, I've certainly built a strong feeling and a strong bond with the Alfred University football program and Alfred University in general. So I take a ton of pride in being here for 25 years, and we've had some outstanding football teams without a doubt, but I've also had the opportunity to work with multiple outstanding young men, and really thankful for the opportunity that I've had here, and thankful for all the relationships I've built over the years.
You talk about outstanding young men that you've had the opportunity to work with. One of the guys that I would imagine is on that list is Joe Kopp, who is with you right now this season, wearing that very famous and beautiful number in memory of Nick at number 32. And seeing him this season just somehow do even more, be in even more places, I think when we talk about Joe Kopp, and he's the nicest guy. I mean, in my experience with him, is you see him on the field, go out and go after every single play, and then after a game, he walks up to my car and says, "Hi, Mr. Tortora. Thanks so much for being here. How are you? How's everything going?" I mean, what can you say about everything that Joe Kopp is when you talk about building relationships? I would imagine Joe's one of those guys that you'll be talking to for the rest of his life and the rest of yours, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be one of those guys that'll be someday honored here, as a former future Saxon Hall of Famer. Right now, I believe he's 6th all time, and by the end of the season, he should be able to be 5th all time in career tackles. And I know he's considering the possibility of coming back for another year because of the COVID year. And if he does, I'm assuming he'll be, the Alfred University all-time tackle leader. But, regardless of whether or not he does that, he's been an outstanding leader for us over the last 4 years. 2-time captain, does everything the right way. I talked about our culture a little bit before, and he certainly exemplifies our culture with everything that he does.
So when you look at that culture, that's something that when you go through adversity, you go through tough times, that can get rocked. How does your culture at Alfred stay strong, in your opinion, through these moments? What keeps that foundation that when they say bend, don't break, when there's a little bit of a shake, how does everything in the foundation stay upright, in your opinion?
I say senior leadership, and honestly, the leadership of the coaches. And when I say the leadership of the coaches, I'm not referring to myself. I'm talking about my assistant coaches. I feel very strongly that we get great leadership from our offensive and defensive coordinator, as well as all of my assistant coaches. And, that's something that we ask all of our guys to do. Like, first and foremost, from our leadership council and captains to our coaching staff, is buy into that culture. If we don't buy into it, the players certainly won't. And, it all starts with building trust and building relationships with players, and then players building trust and relationships with one another, and then following the core values of work ethic, discipline, and, high character. And we feel like, we want to follow that mode no matter what. And no matter what the highs and lows of the season are going to bring you. we're always going to follow those core values.
Not just this season here with Bob Rankl, Alfred University Saxons head football coach in this Saxon Spotlight exclusive to Wake Up Call and our partnership. Not just here this year, but in general, being a leader for as long as you have been, what for you defines good leadership? What defines, in your opinion, what it means to be the captain of a ship? Because I know you give credit to other people, but you've had to learn the art of leadership, how to talk to people, how to get through to different people differently. So when you look at where you are right now in your career, what is a good leader? How would you define it?
It's funny. Ed Orgeron, I don't know, was interviewed last year, and he said everything changed for him when he started viewing his players as his own children. And I have two children, and our players are not my children, but you got to care about the kids in your program. You got to care about the coaches that are coaching for you like they are your family members. And that's something that I feel very strongly about. I hope every player in my program knows that I care very deeply about them, want to see them excel on the football field, but also excel, later on in life, whether, it's through their jobs, their careers, their families, following whatever passions they have. So, it's a family kind of atmosphere that we try to build. And that all starts with building trust with your players. And in order to build trust, they got to know that you care about them. So, that's what my biggest goal is as a leader within our football program is, and certainly hope my players, understand that I feel that way about them.
And as a head coach, you have the opportunity every single day to help raise this extension of your family, these other kids that you have every single year. What has that meant to you to, like you said, you have two kids of your own, but every season you have so many more, and over the time span of your career as a coach, you've been able to connect with so many different people. How rewarding is it, and what is that experience like for you to get to be in so many families that you would have never had the connection to if not for being a head coach?
Well, it's super rewarding. And I think, it's like I mentioned before with the Hall of Fame guys coming back to congratulate Chad and Vincent for, being in the Hall of Fame and celebrating with those guys, and seeing guys that in some cases I haven't seen in, 5 to 10 years. And, feels like they were here just yesterday. So, Alfred University with the Alfred University football program, with the exception of my family, is more important than anything else in my life. It definitely means a lot to see those guys coming back, and just reminiscing with them and talking about old stories, and, understanding that those bonds and those relationships that were built even years ago are still, very much alive today.
So you have one more game, and like you said, after that, already planning for the future and for 2024, but we have one more game, November 11th, this coming Saturday, noon Eastern time, on the road at SUNY Brockport in Brockport, New York. Obviously you want to win, but besides that, what are you most looking forward to have one more ride in 2023 with all of your guys? What is on your mind for this final moment, this final game, knowing that there's an opportunity to put an exclamation point at the end of this season? So what are your thoughts?
Of course we want to win, like you said, no doubt about that's our number one goal. But for many, most of our seniors, this is going to be their final opportunity to play college football. So I want them to go out. I want them to have a great experience. I want them to enjoy the day. I want them to have a lot of fun. Obviously, like you said, the number one goal is winning. But at the same time, we want to make sure that, we're still developing ourselves for the future and getting ourselves ready for the 2024 season, and want to finish on a strong note and build on that going into the off season.
Well, from you being my first Saxon Spotlight, Bob, to you being my first rapid fire questions back and forth, to being able to go and call, your game on homecoming and to talk with you throughout this season. You have left a really awesome impression on me. Love the fact that I got to interview you with your son on the field just a few weeks ago. So I truly, for me, beyond wins and losses, I know every coach wants to win and every player wants to win, but I see the person behind the music, so to speak. And I have been very moved and very appreciative of the time that you've given me. And, you know, in all the years that I've worked, you've been one of my favorite people to root for. So I want to just tell you that here today. And I hope you guys
I
get that
appreciate
victory.
that, Dan.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. So take care and have a good day.
All right, bud. We'll take care.
All right. Be well.
All right.
Coming from Bob Rankl one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And I mean that. He's one of those coaches that you want to root for. You just want to see win, because I just genuinely respect and appreciate his time, and I love his kids. I have had the opportunity, and as you've seen on Wake Up Call, and if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, when you subscribe to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, you will see that on our YouTube channel we have so many wonderful interactions with the Alfred University football team, and those interactions are all chronicled there. So when you go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and you click subscribe, you will see that we have an Alfred Saxons playlist, and you can go to that playlist and go back and see my conversations with these wonderful student athletes and of many different sports, including the football program. And when you go back and you see that those conversations with Alfred University, you know, you'll see my conversation with Joe Kopp, with Parker Evans, Nathaniel Castellanos, as well as Gavin Bartholomew, Alex Royak, Jake Kelsey, Matt Wagner, Max Freeman IV, JJ Mundo, Keenan Olison, Amir Massey, Tyreek Ormel, Danny Quinones, and so on and so forth. And that's just naming the football team. You'll also see conversations with AJ Giaquinto, as well as Alina Zabihalo, as well as Chase Freeland, Corin Ferguson, Darian Ortiz, JC, a.k.a. Jay, Palm Green, Jordan Crouch, Kevin Flint, Liv Gilbert, Macy Youngberg, Mari Jablonski, Noam Sokolovsky, Uner Sesmus, Sarah Lutkin, Sam Arthurs, and of course my many conversations with the president of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, as well as Dr. Nicole Burnson, who oversees men's and women's rugby, and of course my Learning to Lead spotlight with the incredible Peter Cuneo, who went to Alfred University and went on to be the CEO of Marvel Entertainment for a decade. So a lot of great stuff. Definitely go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And many thanks to Bob and to all of the wonderful student athletes, coaches, and leaders at Alfred University, current students, prospective students, and faculty, as well as all of the alumni that are connected to Alfred. We thank you so much for being a part of this exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Saxons. We'll take our final step aside and be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. I appreciate you all being with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, you are with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the spin and rock that we call Earth on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. And once the shows go live, they jump into the archives, and you can see plenty of broadcasts and listen to plenty of broadcasts on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or Wake Up Call DT for free and have our shows in your pocket wherever you go today. Big time thanks to our incredible partners, Carvel DeWitt, the home of the DT Dolphin. You want to celebrate Division I for women's basketball, starting off the Division I season, their first Division I season ever. Well, you can celebrate by going to Carvel DeWitt today and getting yourself a DT Dolphin. It is My Sunday, and it is connected to Lemoyne and our partnership with Lemoyne and Carvel DeWitt. The DT Dolphin, mint chocolate chip, green ice cream for the Dolphins, topped off with hot fudge, whipped cream, a cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of the whipped cream. Make sure you go and get one today. The Wildcat Sports Pub, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. Big time shout out to their fearless leader, Mr. Jimmer Sikowski. I love you, brother. 317 at Montgomery Street, the name of the location is the name of the restaurant, as well as Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, PB&J's Lunchbox, Great Lakes Honda City, and Mother's Cupboard, where we have my sandwich every single day. You can go and get the Cuse McMother. The Cuse McMother there for you 7 days a week on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. There at Mother's Cupboard from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. daily. Get the Cuse McMother today right there at Mother's Cupboard. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and have it with syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. No matter what you do it today at Mother's Cupboard. The Lemoyne College Dolphins are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find the Dolphins during Dolphin Time on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with AD and DT featuring Athletic Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, and the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. Get all of our Dolphin content by swimming over to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, into the women's basketball program as they start their first ever Division I campaign, led by Mary Grimes and their incredible staff and student athletes, Fins Way Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Bobcats every single month here with us on Wake Up Call, and I appreciate those Bobcats so very much. The men's and women's basketball teams have tipped off their seasons and done it with winning. Big time shout out to Tay Baker as well as Clay Gagan Sherman, each in their second respective seasons coaching the programs. Tay Baker with the women's basketball program at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, and Clay Gagan Sherman in his second season with the men's basketball program. They are playing their home games this year at Allen Hall at OCC. Allen Hall at OCC. So make sure you get out to Allen Hall and go and see them play all throughout the season. It is a great venue. Big time thanks to Onondaga Community College for welcoming Bryan and Stratton Syracuse onto their campus for their home games. Awesome venue, awesome experience. I was there yesterday for the men's home opener, a victory for the team. So big time shout out to them, as well as the men's and women's soccer teams that are in the top 2 in the nation, both of them. And this Wednesday, they will have their selection to find out what seed they are and who they will be facing. And I will be on site on campus at Bryan and Stratton Syracuse this Wednesday, handling the whole thing live. So I can't wait to do that and share that with you. Find all of our Bobcat content by clawing your way over to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Alfred University Saxons are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You just heard the newest Saxon Spotlight live with Bob Rankl, the head coach of the Alfred University Saxons football program. The Presidential Perspective episodes featuring President of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, as well as the Saxon Spotlights with student athletes, coaches, alumni, and administration come to you in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership here on Wake Up Call during Saxon time, Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Very proud to have the Saxons with us, and thanks to all of these student athletes who have told their incredible stories, as well as the head coaches and administration that have joined me here in our partnership with Alfred University. We're just a few months in, and we have underpromised and over-delivered with some incredible conversations, and that is all thanks to our wonderful guests from Alfred University. I love telling your stories, and I look forward to telling more. Find all of our content with the Saxons by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Go to their website for more information, gosaxons.com, and as always, go Saxons. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I hope you have a wonderful day. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, and for Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the place to get your holiday gifts for your family, friends, coworkers, employees, and more. Head to 201 7th North Street today in Liverpool, New York. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you, and you can also go to maandpaspopcorn.com for those of you out of town. For Brendan Murphy and for Bob Rankl and for myself, Dan Tortora, thank you so much for waking up with me and with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.